Chapter 32. Initially, she would not allow Jimmy to have a night shift because he had a cold, and she didn't want a cold to add to her woes. But she was adamant that he should get a job and he needed sleep for that. Worried that she would live longer than that little bit of money she still had left. "He's expensive," she lamented, and asked repeatedly if he would just pick up a tool and go to work. But he didn't. He went one day, then he threw it in, and lay in his bed until he walked into her hospital room and lied right there in front of us and put out his hand for his daily money. She knew exactly how much of her money he had used from the time they had both moved into the house together. She complained that he could at least buy his cigarettes at the discount shop, since she was still paying the bills. But most of all, she complained because he could not share a cigarette with her. He cancelled his opportunity for the night shift for some sudden engagement, and I was called in. But she had come to depend on him less and less. There was talk from her that he should not carry her coffin, but much later, when we had made it home again, and she lay in the bath for the last time, he brought out the guitar, and I knew that he was with us for the rest of the ride. The priest came again to pay her a call, and she had him wheel her out to the no smoking sign. Jimmy was there, and she asked him to draw closer. She laughed as she pointed out my discomfort and asked the priest if he thought it was terrible that as a child she was only allowed limited TV and had to eat at the family table with her own serviette and had rules to follow. She paused and continued. I had maintained my control until she was 15, and then I had set her free. It was a tribute that I shall always value, and she delivered it with a smile on her face, blowing a kiss into the air, setting it free. She didn't forget Natalie. She had said her goodbyes, but she couldn't decide where she belonged. There was a lot of discussion on the matter. Natalie had been a source of comfort since she was a child, an old friend. Julia decided to be cremated with her, but I suggested she could live on my spare bed in case there were nieces and nephews in the future who might be in need of a friend. The idea appealed to her. Julia swung between acceptance and disbelief that she was dying, but she consoled herself with the resignation that a future life would have been harder in her world, in which her learning difficulties curtailed a career change. But there was her biggest loss, the hardest thing for her to bear, spoken of more than once, and spoken of for the last time as we mourned together at her words, delivered slowly, her face a mask. If only I could have had a baby. No one could ever imagine how much I would love it. But she was wrong. I could. So many people sent their love and their support to the family. So many acts of kindness. The parish decided to have a fundraiser, and Julia was greatly comforted by the thought of all those prayers. It must be hard to be the mother, people would state, offering me their sympathy. So many people made that statement that it became a question. I had thought about it often and was surprised by my own response. As my child was dying, an event I would never have envisaged, the thought abhorrent, an event I would wish on no one else, I had the privilege of seeing exactly who she had become. A child replaced by a magnificent woman, a life which evolved into the Julia whom we had come to admire. Proud to know that all my endeavours as a mother had come to fruition, the time, the love, all well spent. But I wouldn't have minded if I'd ever missed that opportunity.